Nike announced Friday night that it has suspended its relationship with Nets guard Kyrie Irving, and this comes in the aftermath of Irving posting a since-deleted link to a book and movie containing anti-Semitic falsehoods. Nike added that it will no longer be releasing Irving's new shoe, the Kyrie 8, and in a statement, the company said, quote, "At Nike, we believe there is no place for hate speech, and we condemn any form of anti-Semitism. We are deeply saddened and disappointed by the situation and its impact on everyone." Now, Irving's deal with Nike was initially set to expire on October 1st, 2023. And Irving, who was suspended without pay by the Nets for at least 5 games, posted an apology to his Instagram on Thursday night. Meanwhile, in the second game of our doubleheader, Karl-Anthony Towns gets the 3 to go. We will have more on this.
Did issue an apology on Instagram. Today, the Nets general manager Sean Marks had this to say about what may come next.
There is going to be some remedial steps and measures that have been put in place for him to obviously seek some counseling, designated by the team from dealing with some anti-hate and some Jewish leaders within our community. He's going to have to sit down with them. He's going to have to sit down with the organization after this, and we'll evaluate and see if this is the right opportunity to bring him back.
Right now on ESPN.com, there is an extraordinary story, extremely detailed, by Adrian Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne, behind the suspension of Kyrie Irving. A few of the things that you should know. The Nets owner, Joe Tsai, did not suspend Irving despite being advised to do so by Commissioner Adam Silver. Also, Tsai and Irving did not talk before the team issued a joint statement with the Anti-Defamation League. In fact, Irving did not return any of Tsai's messages, his texts, seeking to discuss the matter over the course of much of the last week. Again, I do recommend reading the story in its entirety. There's a lot of detail there. And again, it's from Ramona Shelburne and our own Woj, who joins us here in the corner. And Woj, the overarching theme of the story is about why it took so long for the Nets to suspend Kyrie Irving, and ultimately it comes back to the owner.
That's right, Greeny. It was Joe Tsai, the Nets owner, above everyone else. Sean Marks, Adam Silver, I think the broad swath of the public who expected a suspension, especially after that Saturday night news conference Kyrie Irving gave, when he not only didn't apologize for sharing that anti-Semitic material to his platform, didn't condemn it, but really doubled down on it. And I think for Joe Tsai, his thought process was to educate Kyrie Irving about anti-Semitism, about the impact that this had in the Jewish community, what he had shared on his platform, and he was working with the Anti-Defamation League to do that with Kyrie Irving. And in a lot of ways, Joe Tsai was really the last man standing for Kyrie Irving. And in trying to reach out to Kyrie Irving, trying to discuss the entire episode with him, he did not get a response from Irving. And all the conversations that led up to that joint statement with the ADL earlier this week were through his agent. And so I think ultimately for Joe Tsai, a belief that he could get a two-way conversation going with Kyrie Irving and give him a chance to be educated on this and get out of this without a suspension. That all changed Wednesday when Kyrie Irving spoke for the second time in front of the media, didn't apologize, didn't condemn the anti-Semitic information, and then Joe Tsai, they went with a 5-game suspension. And now the steps necessary for Kyrie Irving to come back and play. But I think for the Nets, this is certainly, and there have been a few crossroads with Kyrie Irving and this organization. We're at another one, not just for Irving's future with the Nets, but I think this entire iteration of Irving and Kevin Durant, what it all is going to look like going forward. But I think the relationship is certainly changed now between Irving and Joe Tsai, and we'll see what that means for his future with the Nets.
Oh, by the way, the Nets are playing, in fact, right now in Washington, game tipping off pretty much as we speak. Again, extraordinary detail in this story from Woj and Ramona Shelburne that's available on ESPN.com right now. And so for the four of us, Stephen A. and Michael Wilbon and Jalen and myself, on our respective shows here on ESPN, we've been talking about this story all week, but as it has continued to develop, I thought the most useful thing we could do tonight is just share whatever the first top-line thoughts we each have are tonight. And so, Stephen A., again, working from home tonight, I will start with you. What is your overarching feeling tonight as we have seen all of this develop this week?
Kyrie Irving's career is in jeopardy. That's how I view this. He is a sensational talent, a superstar talent as far as I'm concerned. Once upon a time box office, but now he's not being measured by his basketball exploits. A matter of fact, his basketball talents are being used against him by himself, because now, because of his actions, self-inflicted, no doubt, people look at him and they're considering it wasted talent. So much that he has to bring to the game of basketball, so much that he has to offer for athletics. He is an individual that has been completely preoccupied with things other than the game he loves. He has spent far too much time thinking he is the smartest person in the room, being turned off by people who he believes intellectual levels don't measure up to his. And because of it, he's exercised whatever power he was allowed to have by doing what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, how he wanted to do it. And now it's coming back to bite him. I don't believe that his heart, that he's a bad person by any stretch of the imagination, that he means harm to others. But that's from an insider's perspective. If you're looking on the outside, there are very few people who want to give him that benefit of the doubt. And because of it, it makes teams incredibly reticent and potentially reluctant to touch him despite his greatness, because of the noise he's going to bring to their franchise. That's why his career is in a world of trouble.
That's where it begins tonight. Micah Wilbon, what are your thoughts?
He didn't have any more benefit of the doubt coming from me. I mean, how many times? That's like teams. They give him benefit of the doubt. So you can't call your owner back. You can't text your owner, a guy paying you $30 million or more. Really? How massive is your ego? What about your level of presumption? You can't call your owner back or text him back. You think you're smarter than everybody in the room. And I said this earlier. I mean, you would think that he has done such great research, and to hear him tell it, and is so smart, that he must be Frederick Douglass. If he was half as smart as he says he is, he would be. So I'm tired of this. So 3 years ago with Brooklyn, he doesn't want to go in the bubble. He plays 20 games. Then a couple of years ago, he goes on some birthday hiatus to a party, and he's just skipped 6 or 7 games. Last year, he holds his team hostage, and he plays half the season or less. And now we've got this, which is the most egregious sin. So no, there's no more benefit of the doubt. And let me bring the Nets in briefly here. Where is the collective character of that organization? They don't seem to have any from the top down. So let me include ownership, executive level. Steve Nash should be congratulated for getting the hell out of Dodge while he could. Who needs that? Not a Hall of Famer like Steve Nash can go somewhere and restart his career someplace with some credibility. The Nets have none. Kyrie Irving has none. And there will be teams, Stephen A., you're right about this, there will be teams who just get seduced by his talent all over again and say, we'll take the whole kit and caboodle, you and all the trouble you cause, which is every year. LeBron got tired of him. He lied his way out of Boston, stood there with the microphone and said, I'll be back. He wasn't back. He had no intention of coming back. So how many years do you go with this, with the promise of his greatness, achieved once with LeBron on LeBron's coattails? I mean, this is unbelievable. This guy, you're going to have to tell the history of the NBA. You're going to have to include Kyrie Irving for mostly, as talented as he is, the wrong reasons.
And in the United States, we talk about freedom of speech, and rightfully so. But the fine print is there's repercussions to that speech. And one of the things, if you want to be an athlete or work in corporate America, ladies and gentlemen, that means you have a boss. So that means you also have rules and decorum that you need to abide by. When I started to be an athlete, it surprised me that people came up to me, blowing their horns at me, wanting to take a picture with me and stuff like that. I was like, whoa. But then you start to realize something, that becomes a responsibility, not only to you and your family, but to your community. And I have to say this, as 3 high-profile black men in this multimedia space that have been very successful for a long time, when we talk about this topic, it's very important to acknowledge, we're not picking on Kyrie. We just giving y'all the real. This ain't MLK saying I have a dream. This ain't Muhammad Ali not going to enlist in the war. Like, this is one individual who decided to do something that he probably deemed was wrong initially. And to be honest with y'all, that ain't even why he got suspended. Because if he would have apologized, they wouldn't even suspended him. The team and him got together and thought they were going to buy it off by both donating $500,000. And then when they got rejected, it made the league look bad because they didn't act, make the team look bad because they also didn't act. Now they can't act like they're not locked arms with him. So you're right, he didn't return the text of the owner. You know why? He ain't have to. Because he knows he's still under contract.
Well,
and he knows that they're trying to win. And matter of fact, they're trying to win so much. Woj just tweeted not too long ago that they was going to hire Ime Udoka. When is that going to happen?
It better not.
When is that going to happen?
Better not happen.
So the dust that Kyrie's kicked up since he's been with the Nets, he's missed more games like Stephen A. than he's played. You can't be a Kevin Durant and look back at this choice to team up with Kyrie and not look at it as a failed experiment.
Go ahead, Stephen A.
Well, we could talk about that Ime Udoka part later because Wilbon and I are on polar opposite ends of the spectrum in that regard. I think they should still get him, and Wilbon obviously thinks otherwise.
They better
we'll
not.
talk about that another time. But I'll tell you
They better
this.
not.
I'll tell you this. In the last several hours, somebody was laughing. It was an executive in the league that I talked to that was laughing over the fact that I had said this earlier today on television when I said Kyrie Irving is an absolute magician when it comes to missing work. Because guess what? The 5-game suspension is not finite. It could end up being more. He would be scheduled to come back the 13th against the Los Angeles Lakers because after those 5 games, but we don't know whether or not it's going to be longer. So yet again, one thing remains consistent with him. There's always a reason that he ain't at work. Okay, and the fact of the matter is that he's not at work, but he gets paid. The flip side to all of this is this, guys: $212 million 4-year extension off the table. Didn't get that. Sneaker deal, bringing in anywhere from $13 to $20 million a year. People speculate about $100 million, if not more. That's gone because that ain't gonna get renewed. And then obviously because of the vaccination situation last year, he missed about $17 to $18 million. Okay, and now he's getting suspended. So basically, over the last year or so, in terms of projected guarantees that he had in his coffers, Kyrie Irving has cost himself in excess of $330 million.
And so that's where it begins tonight. Again, we will have more to say about this situation as it goes. The Nets are playing as we speak. And most importantly, we do have